Donald Trump just threatened to destroy the largest trade deal in North America. Standing before cameras on December 3, 2025, Trump declared the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement would either expire next year or be replaced entirely. Markets shuddered. Agricultural groups erupted in panic. And across America, farmers who depend on Canadian and Mexican markets for survival watched their livelihoods hang by a thread. But here's the twist Trump didn't mention. The agreement isn't actually expiring. The USMCA replaced NAFTA in 2020, creating the world's largest free trade zone, encompassing 500 million people and $1.3 trillion in annual trade. Trump himself negotiated this deal during his first presidency, calling it a historic victory. The agreement includes a scheduled review in 2026. A routine check-in designed to strengthen provisions, not dismantle the framework. For 5 years, American farmers, automakers, and manufacturers have built supply chains around tariff-free access to Canada and Mexico. U.S. agricultural exports to these countries exceed $50 billion annually. American soybean farmers send 60% of their exports to Mexico and Canada. Northwest fruit growers depend on these markets for survival. Auto plants in Michigan, Ohio, and Texas rely on parts crossing borders multiple times during production. Grocery stores stock shelves with produce imported duty-free under USMCA provisions. On December 3rd, Trump told reporters at the White House it expires in about a year, and we'll either let it expire or we'll maybe work out another deal with Mexico and Canada. Mexico and Canada have taken advantage of the United States, like just about every other country. The statement sent shockwaves through agricultural sectors immediately. Within hours, industry leaders flooded Washington with urgent warnings. American Soybean Association Secretary Dave Walton stated bluntly that Trump's trade war tactics increase the likelihood that U.S. soybean farmers will end up in the crosshairs of potential retaliation. Our industry would not survive a long tariff battle with our two closest customers. But here's what makes this truly shocking. Northwest Horticultural Council Vice President Riley Bushew warned, with thousands of American family tree fruit farms already at risk of going out of business, losing preferential access to Mexico and Canada would be devastating. There are no other export market opportunities capable of offsetting the severe economic losses. Trump's threat wasn't just political rhetoric. It represented an existential threat to American farmers already operating on razor-thin margins. The numbers tell a devastating story. U.S. agricultural exports to Canada and Mexico total over $50 billion annually. American soybean farmers export 60% of their production to these two markets alone. Losing tariff-free access would trigger immediate Mexican and Canadian retaliation, crushing U.S. farmers with counter-tariffs ranging from 20% to 50%. U.S. automakers face catastrophic disruption. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation warned Trump that restoring tariffs would increase vehicle production costs by thousands of dollars per unit, forcing plant closures and mass layoffs across Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Texas. Manufacturing supply chains cross U.S.-Canada and U.S.-Mexico borders an average of 8 times per vehicle. American grocery prices would spike instantly. The U.S. imports 90% of its winter produce from Mexico under USMCA. Tariffs would add 15% to 25% to consumer food costs within months. U.S. Chamber of Commerce President Suzanne Clark testified before Congress, demanding Trump scrap all national security-based tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods. She stated, "These tariffs harm American businesses and consumers far more than they protect anything." Trump's threat exposes a dangerous pattern repeating itself. During his first presidency, Trump's trade wars with China devastated American soybean farmers, requiring $28 billion in taxpayer-funded bailouts. Now, he's threatening the same chaos with America's two largest trading partners. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to meet Trump in Washington on December 5th at the Kennedy Center during the FIFA World Cup draw. Carney, former governor of both the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, represents the calm, competent leadership Trump lacks. Where Trump creates uncertainty, Carney offers stability. Where Trump threatens allies, Carney strengthens partnerships. The contrast couldn't be starker as North America faces its biggest trade crisis in decades. American farmers built their businesses around USMCA stability. Now, Trump threatens to destroy it all based on false claims and political theater. As Carney prepares to meet Trump, one question dominates. Will American agricultural producers pay the price for Trump's reckless trade tantrums? Will the Supreme Court stop him before it's too late? Drop your predictions below.